claim that you're here. Okay, so I'm here to inspire you with real world stories about my clients to make things more specific and less vague so you can see how confidence is built. You ready? So what I did is I wrote down my clients' real names and the kinds of commonalities that certain groups of women have had that have come into my completely confident leadership group. But then I changed their name to protect their identity and keep it confidential because we have a very sweet and very special bond that is a confidential space for women to share candidly. And so I'm not going to reveal their real names, but their first letter of their names. So I'm going to start with a very common thing that many new women come to me with, many new clients come to me with a very similar experience. So this is for Karen, Julie, Sandra, Lisa, and Liz, not their real names. All of these women came to me with some version of toxic boss syndrome. Boom. Having a bad boss, having an ineffective boss, having a boss that is not just annoying and frustrating, but maddening, having a boss experience that has them driven to distraction, wearing out their welcome with processing the experience of what the bad boss did today with their partners and with their families when they come home. This can be a very distracting experience to anyone's ability to focus because we end up tempted to replay the past and replay injustices and keep re-feeling frustration and anger and righteous indignation, and for good reason. None of these women are self-indulgent and not reading the news. They have very real reasons to feel the feelings that they come in with. And there can be lots of residue that they carry too. Some of these were current situations that they were dealing with and they were seeking relief. Some of these women that come to me, sadly, it's actually years past they've had experiences that they still carry some trauma with them of having a very damaging interaction with the boss. Is that you? Is anybody out there feeling like, oh yeah, that's me. I can relate to that. I think this is the challenge of really competent women, is that we often can rise to a certain level where we actually can see the incompetence at the layer above us. We are so capable and we crave so much forward motion, and we deserve support and mentorship and good leadership because of who we are, that if we are assigned to somebody who never learned how to be a good boss or never understood what leadership really meant about leading other people, who stays focused on themselves or only their results, and they're not capable or competent or interested in growing the people around them, if they frankly don't care about developing others, that can be a very toxic situation to be in. A very hurtful situation to be in, because for strong and sensitive women, it's only natural to take on board some of that experience and internalize it and feel like there was something wrong with us. That's where it gets really dangerous. So, how did these women grow their confidence inside my program? We learned how to let go of the past and refocus on our skills, our unique strengths, what we're in control of. They learned important lessons about drama and defensiveness and were able to see with new eyes how they contributed to their own dramatic experience, and moreover, how the other players in their narrative were also playing out drama and defensiveness. And with that power of self-knowledge, and with the real power of self-appreciation of their unique skills and strengths, they were able to get over their feelings of self-doubt and self-blame that they may have carried from having that bad boss experience, or the anger and indignation, and get clear about what they want and make a clear request for what they wanted, what they could ask for. And they could stop beating themselves up too. Super powerful, it's like it's like the dam breaking, the dam of frustration breaking, and all that energy finally being channeled in a positive direction. The momentum is incredible when I see this with these women. And the results can sometimes be surprising. So several of these women were really under the perception or the assumption that it was either stay or go. Like there's really no other option because this person is so toxic, so impossible. And what I saw happen more often than not, this is what's so surprising, is that once they really focused on who they were, what their desires were, what their strengths and gifts and skills were, and they were starting to articulate it more powerfully, more clearly, standing in their truth without even knowing what the outcome would be or what they were really wanting, something came up in their blind spot. It's almost like they manifested something else. Another boss from another department inside the organization pulled them away. And they had relief in the most surprising way where they didn't have to leave the organization. They didn't have to leave their vesting period. And they got to work for a whole different supervisor and a whole different team. Super surprising result, right? That they never saw coming. Some of the other women decided to, I can think of two that decided to disconnect from the current company they were in and go find another boss, go find the mentor that they deserved, and they found a better situation for them. And two of the women actually struck out on their own to start their own enterprise. One woman's a coach, one woman's a production, an event producer from Hollywood. She's starting her own production company. How cool is that? So these are the types of results that you can shift in powerful ways, and it will be unique for you if that's your experience. But the thing that was similar for all of them is they were free from replaying the negativity that had been in the backstory of their narrative for a long time. Really inspiring. Is anybody here tracking? Are you liking this story? Okay, next up is the experience of, these are the pseudonyms of Marilyn, Kathy, and Lenita. The curse of promotion. Okay, all three of these women came to me having been promoted into their dream job. Two were recruited by other companies. And actually, all three ended up getting a promotion, like a bigger position, headhunted to a bigger company, a job that they would have thought was a dream job. And you know what happened? Nothing triggers imposter syndrome like a good promotion, a good high level position. So they had the experience of suddenly being elevated so high that they felt wobbly in their confidence and their self-reliance and their self-belief. They lost a little bit of their self-trust. They got nervous, and all three of them actually longed for something smaller so that they didn't feel so uncomfortable and so exposed. So for all three of those women, the skills that they needed that they got inside of my program were learning how to believe in themselves again, how to see their radiant strengths through exercises and through this special process I take all of my clients through called Creating Your Victory Statement. Some of them like to use the self-hypnosis tapes that I have had developed by a clinical hypnotherapist, and public speaking skills. When these came on board and online, these three women were able to hold these higher level positions with much more calm and a sense of grace and a sense of capability that gave them a confident place to stand, so they weren't nervous all the time about not belonging where they were. All of them had this experience of like trying to earn the promotion that they had already been given. Right? They're working for people that recognized their talents and gave them a very high level position, and then they got nervous about it. I want to give you a quote that this one woman shared with me about going through my program after she had been raised up to this high level. She said, this is Kathy, pseudonym, I'm now able to drop all the obsessing about my performance, what others think, and I'm giving myself more permission. I'm noticing I'm more aware of instances where I'm not hung up on stuff, and it's very liberating. I feel so much freer. I'm not spiraling into comparison, and I'm starting to see myself as more than who I am at work, being fully me. I can't wait for what's next. Isn't that cool? Really good story. Okay, here's some others. One gal that I'm going to call Samantha has been working in an unfulfilling job for decades, literally 30 years. And her confidence has been eroded by some negative experiences at work. And so, what she came to me with was a frustration of wondering if she could wait it out until retirement. And what she ended up doing is growing her self belief and her decision making skills enough so that she could create a resume and apply. And she's currently in the experience of now seeking another position for the first time in 30 years. That's brave. Here's another one. Carol, it's a pseudonym, is she's a Native American woman in middle management and in healthcare, which I find a lot of women that come to me in nursing fields and in healthcare find a real challenging experience with a lot of passive aggressive power struggles between administration and physicians and various other roles. And when she came to me, she was really set up to fail. She was promoted to a position that didn't really have authority, with a weak boss that just kind of was said like, well, I don't know what you should do, just try to make things happen, and a real passive aggressive group of nurses that she was trying to up level to her vision for a better quality of care. And what she was all about was really learning solid leadership skills, solid feedback skills, making clear requests, resolving conflict, being open without being defensive, and not letting the dialogue sort of swirl into a negative, just name calling, really keeping things above board and having her own back through some really challenging experiences. And here's what happened for her. She was also a leader, is also a leader in her Native American tribe. She speaks the language fluently. She's such an inspiration. Out of nowhere, right? I'm going to use air quotes. Out of nowhere, she was headhunted by the tribal council to fill an opening in public office and then run to be elected in that office. And now she has the opportunity to hold a real leadership position that tickles her, that is such a big promotion, has such a big platform, and has so much capacity for her to live a legacy for herself and her family and her Native American culture. It's absolutely an amazing outcome that she never saw coming, but she's convinced that she enabled it to happen by developing the confidence in herself to stand up and use her voice, and that shifted how she showed up in the world and allowed for that opportunity to come. Are you tracking? All right, here's another one. Another woman who is also kind of non-white. She's Puerto Rican. She's an immigrant. She's a fluent Spanish speaker, and she's a female scientist in a white government, male-dominated agency. And so she's dealing with being overlooked and feeling sidelined and feeling just like there's no one like her at the highest levels. There's a lack of representation, and she started to actually take on some self-doubt, like really deeply wondering if she had a space there, because she just was such a unicorn. And I think that it started to make her quiet and very cautious and smaller in what she could do with her voice. And yet, she's this amazing leader in her community who started a nonprofit celebrating Bomba, the dance of Puerto Rico. And what I was able to work with her on is leveraging this amazing confidence that she displays when she's in the moment. Like Bomba is it's a dance form that's very inspired by being in the moment. It's not structured. And when she was able to see and value how she stands so independently when she's doing her nonprofit and she's dancing, when she can use that strength of character and that version of herself in her other world, she started giving speeches to women's groups about her story and about representation and diversity. And even though she still sometimes suffers self-doubt, she's standing so much taller in her ability to own her whole leadership persona. So inspiring. All right, ladies, are you still tracking? Are you enjoying these stories? I have two more that are women who did it differently. Now, if you've been tracking me for a while, you know some of the elements of my Completely Confident Leadership program. Briefly, one of those elements are small group coaching calls, where we come into a group of maybe 4 to 8 women, where it's private and you get coached personally on what comes up for you so that you can really integrate lessons. I have one client, we'll call her Renee, who's also an immigrant. She was lacking confidence. She's very small in stature. English is her second language, and she's incredibly shy, very, very quiet and unassuming. But she wanted coaching. She signed up for my program, and she has never joined a group call. Even when I invited her to join the call with her camera off, she has not felt comfortable in that realm, but she has done all of the exercises and listened to all of the replays. And the result is she previously has been hired by an agency to then hire her out as a physical therapist to various therapy offices. She is leaving that agency in June to go out on her own, and she is pitching. Just yesterday, she pitched to one of her employers to have him hire her directly as an employee so that she can leave the agency and make more money. She has the confidence to make a clear request and to negotiate for salary in a way that's win-win with this new boss. She's also dropped one of her temporary jobs that she worked at through the agency so she could spend more time with her son. And she's building 2 homes back in the Philippines. One, she's remodeling the home of her parents, and now she's building a dream home for herself, her husband, and her son so that they can go home and have an amazing experience. She's living a dream. And all of this is from a woman who never joined one of my group calls. She's very inspiring because she knows what she wants. Another woman who did it totally differently, I'm going to call her Marie. She is a very high-level vice president at a national organization, and she has been up-leveled several times in her career. And her challenge has been that as she's promoted, she still holds a lot of the tasks that she had of her lower level jobs. And she is drowning in email. And she doesn't ever slow down. She's sort of like a multitasking maven. Now, this individual has never done the exercises. She's in the members area. I've talked about my portal. It has all of the lessons. She hasn't taken the time to slow down and actually do the exercises in the members area. She simply comes to the weekly calls and gets what she needs there, and she loves it. Both of these women that I've just discussed, Renee and Marie, are now in my alumni program. I've mentioned this before too. Like, there's the core curriculum student regular program, Completely Confident Leadership. And once women finish that program, they have the option to continue on in my alumni program. Both of these women have continued on, and Marie has continued on for multiple reps of the alumni program because it's so valuable for her to have the community and to be able to have a safe forum to ask questions about leadership and get real actionable advice on how she can do things. Recently, she was given the most incredible review. She is now this admired leader and mentor to many because she's learned how to focus on the most important work, on her legacy, on the big picture, on developing other people, and she's out of her inbox and thinking higher level the way that her role requires her to. Really awesome success story. So, What are the commonalities of these women? Some of these women that I've described and many more that have gone before them, there are certain things that my clients have in common. Now, this is where I want you to really think about yourself and see, is this you too? Because maybe it's time for you to join Completely Confident Leadership and for you to get the results that you seek. Here's what they have in common. All of these women that I've described to you have had courage to address the suffering that they've been feeling. All of them had a deep desire to feel better and to shift something so that they can grow their confidence and so that they can have a better outcome than what they have currently. All of them were ready to make themselves a priority, to dedicate time and attention to their skills, to studying themselves, to growing their confidence. All of them have an interest in personal development, like you probably do too. And all of them had self-doubt, but all of them liked themselves despite the sneaky, dragging self-doubt. So what you need to be able to join a program like this is the courage to trust that you will get results, that you can progress, that you can grow from here, that you are not so broken that you cannot elevate, that you cannot progress. All of these women knew that staying the same wasn't the option that they really chose. They were afraid to invest in themselves. They were afraid that they might fail. They were afraid that the process might not work, or they weren't even sure what the outcome was that they sought, but they were willing to try. And as I've explained, for many, the process and the outcome surprised them. And what they ended up with is they've learned to trust themselves more, and they've learned that who they are essentially is what they need. They're not trying to become someone different. They've learned more about themselves, and they've found their steadiness, their steady self-assuredness, their greater sense of confidence from the inside. And many of them got results that they didn't expect in other areas of their life too. You know, when one area of your life improves, when you grow your self-confidence, when you dash self-doubt, when you deal with imposter syndrome and you start to really develop self-belief and a solid self-concept, everything else improves too. Your relationships outside of work also improve, with your partner, with your family, with your spouse, with your friends, with yourself. So they've all learned how to ask for what they want, how to trust themselves more, how to be more clear, how to be more direct, and how to rescue themselves when they wobble. Like, none of us are fixed. We don't end up being perfectly perfect. There's no such thing. We all still deal with doubt. But these women now have the tools and the skills to be able to steady themselves when they're in that negative spiral, when they're sort of in the ditch. Okay, so here it is, gals. If you want the results that these women that I'm describing to you, if you want these also for you, if you want to feel relief and ease and momentum and confidence, if you want a different outcome than what you have now, the key is for you to apply yourself to these lessons in a way that's personalized and over time so that you can really experience transformation. Now, I've shared this with you before. I'm going to show it to you again. You go to my website, which is www.joleader.com/apply, and you get on my calendar so that we can meet. It all starts with a call. Each of these women that I've described to you today, it all started with them getting on my calendar, having a call with me, and exploring where they are and where they want to be, and if my program can help them. Some of the amazing outcomes that they've also received that maybe are in your blind spot is, in addition to overcoming self-doubt and getting more confident, other things occur as well. Many of them found more pride in their work, more ability to disconnect from work and not be identified by their work. Many of them are able to sleep through the night in ways that they never were able to before. And all of them have less distraction, less obsessing over mistakes or worry, less comparison to others, and more self reliance and faith that they have what they need. This can be available to you too. And I would love to meet with you to talk about how these results can be achieved with whatever you have going on. So you start by getting on my calendar with www.joleader.com/apply. You'll see right at the top it has a big button that says book a call. When you book a call with me, I get to meet you in person. I get to hear your story. I get to answer any questions you have about what it's like to work inside my Completely Confident Leadership Program. If you want a payment plan, we can discuss that too. Some of these women that I've discussed with you, especially women who are immigrants, who are here on working visas, women who haven't had a lot of opportunity or are still finding their way, have asked for a payment plan. I have never found a woman who wanted this work that we weren't able to find a way to make it work together. That's my life's work, is to provide a vehicle for women to become more confident and self-assured, and we'll make it work for you too. Are you inspired? Did you like these stories? Let me know which one in particular really spoke to you. Drop me a comment below, and I look forward to seeing you on my calendar sometime soon so that I can meet you too and maybe share your story one day. For now, that's what I've got for you.